Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dr. Rob Martinez. I'm the superintendent of the Mount Diablo Unified School District. It is Tuesday, May 5th, 2020. And this is our third opportunity to try and connect with our public via the town hall process. And I'll say we use the term loosely, town hall, just as a way to share information. We have not been able to turn on a complete interactive process at this point, as some people would think in a town hall, but we still thought it important to try and connect with our public, with our school community, with our students, with everybody who's really working through our educational process right now in these times of dealing with COVID-19, the coronavirus. What we hope to do today is provide a few different pieces of information to, again, our public. We do have an email account that is identified as townhall@mdusd.org, where we're trying to, again, accept some questions. We don't have the full bandwidth to be able to respond to every single question in this presentation, but if there are some pieces of information that I believe we can be responsive to, we'll work to provide data and information via this town hall. Or if it's better suited to get information back to somebody who submits a question directly, we'll look to do that. So we are trying to be responsive to the emails that we do receive, to questions that our public has, and we know that there's a lot going on. Before we get going, I just wanted to again tell our students that we miss you greatly. We miss the ability to see you in our schools, to connect with you, to live part of your educational life with you. Many of our teachers, our principals, our support staff, everybody is missing you. And we really wish that, again, we were able to see all 30,000 plus of you every day in our schools. We know this is not an easy time for you. This is a difficult transition that everybody has been forced into, but we also believe in your resilience. We believe that education is paramount to your continued development. We really believe that it is essential to continue your thought process through this entire ordeal so you can learn, you can be prepared for your next level, and when the time is right, we'll be able to have you return to our school to continue our in-person levels of education. Today I have with me Dr. Wendy Agili. She is our Executive Director of Special Education. And one of the items that we're going to cover is discuss a little bit about our overall special education services, the things that we have thought about with regards to providing those services, and again, just giving information. So we're going to talk about that. The second part of our conversation will be discussing some of our end of the year thoughts. We know that there are still some issues about picking up items at school sites. People have concerns or questions about graduation. And again, we're still in session. Education is still happening. So yes, we are continuing to have lessons delivered, engagement with students, connections with families, and we'll be looking to start our summer school programs as well after the school year concludes. Thirdly, we're going to talk a little bit about ideas surrounding the future of education. We know that there are more questions than answers right now, so we'll dive a little bit into the pieces that we're thinking about and share with you some of the ideas that we have about moving into the future. Those will be the three big topics. Again, depending on how the information goes through the email, I'll be trying to track that And if we have other opportunities to give a little bit more information, we may do that as this afternoon goes on. So what we're going to start first is I'm going to have Dr. Gilley share with you a little bit about, again, special education in the Mount Diablo Unified School District during this time of on-site school closures. So Dr. Gilley, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Martinez. So I want to start out this afternoon by saying thank you for spending your time with us. We appreciate your support, we appreciate your understanding, and mostly we appreciate your sacrifice. On behalf of our staff who are in education because they want to support children, the best part of our day has been taken away. The reason why we work here, and that's our kids, that's seeing them, that's interacting with our families. So we're still trying to do the work, but the reward of actually seeing our children is gone. Temporarily, we know we'll be back, and we look forward to that day, and we thank you in supporting us as we put safety first, and we know you do also. So we appreciate that very much. As we've been going through this process, it's been a combination of listening to a variety of sources of information, including from our local health agencies, including the local Bay Area counties, along with also the state's guidance regarding special education services. And then we've also been receiving updates regularly from Kristen Wright, who is the Special Education Director for the California Department of Education. She does weekly updates with us, and then also we recently received information from federal guidance. Sometimes those guidances are conflicting and sometimes they are supporting, but in either way our district is really committed to making sure we do follow any laws that we can. The best advice that we have right now is to provide services as practicable, which is what we've really been trying to do. Our goal is to serve children to the best of our ability and to the best of their ability to participate. So as we weigh out not only the guidance that we're given from outside sources, but also what we know about our children and our families in the community from listening to them and watching our teachers and gaining their feedback, we're certainly adjusting our program as we go. As we're looking at rolling out distance learning, every one of our special education teachers is required to provide video instruction. That doesn't necessarily mean Zoom instruction where they're interacting in a synchronized format with your students, but certainly every teacher is required to provide learning activities for your students. We realize that that is not an easy task, as each individual student comes with their own innate ability to learn in their own modality and requires different accommodations. We know that some children just won't ask for help in an online format even if they desperately need it. But we also know that if we continue to reach out to those children and make it worth their while, they'll attend. So we do know that our teachers are definitely trying to do those things. But until we give our students the basic resources, we can't expect them to participate. So we know that our district has worked really hard to hand out devices and to work with families to make sure that they do have access to technology. And even for some students, simply having a space to work when they're living with families with multiple people and they don't have that, one little room where they can close off. We know that that's a challenge for some of our families, and we're definitely trying to work with that. We also know that you as parents and guardians have your own unique situations. Maybe your work situation doesn't allow you to spend all of those hours that you would like to spend, or maybe there's things that you would like help with. And for those things, please know that our staff is available. Every single provider has office hours daily, and the information should be available on your school website, that you can reach out to your child's case manager, that you can get the support that you need in order to be able to support your child. And although we know that this is not certainly going to provide the same support as a full-time classroom, we do want to provide the support that we can to maximize our opportunities during this time. We also are asking our teachers to provide a combination of the synchronous learning, such as the Zoom platforms or the Google Classrooms, but also asynchronous opportunities, independent work. We know that children, again, have different situations at their home, and maybe some work better in the morning or the afternoon, or when a parent is home, or when they're with certain other siblings. So we want to make sure that we are using a variety of methods to try to reach out to our children. We also know that many of our children on their IEPs have related services, and that, I think, is probably the most challenging area for us at this time. So what we're trying to look at is the same thing that's actually in the law, is how do these related services support the instruction? Our one goal is that kids continue to learn. So we want to make sure that those services are able to be provided to access that, while we also know that direct services may not be feasible for all children during this time period. In order to help our providers be able to provide those services, we're offering two kinds of support. First of all, we're offering them the hard support. How do you log on to Google Classroom? How do you establish a quality educational program? How do you ensure that good instructional pedagogy is followed, and that you have lesson plans that are engaging and effective in reaching our students? We also know that our staff are also handling their own situations within the pandemic. They have their own learning curve. Many of them are trying to be parents themselves. Many of them simply are not confident yet with technology. So we are trying to do everything we can, again, to support our staff. And I will say that I'm very proud to be part of this team, and the work that our staff has done and undertaken has been nothing short of outstanding. And hopefully we can continue to build on that when we do eventually return to school, and we know that our education programming will look different. We are very committed to providing our continued mental health services. Again, we know that this is a time of huge transition for everybody, and we understand the sacrifices people are making. And we want to make sure that people's mental health issues and concerns are addressed in a timely manner. Our school psychologists are providing the related services as outlined on IEPs. Our behavioral health specialists are also doing check-ins with the families and the students who they serve. And our school counselors are doing individual outreach for two particular types of students. First is students who we've been unable to reach. We want to help them overcome whatever barriers we can. Our school counselors also have a grid in place so that the school day is covered. And the reason for that is because we know that for a lot of kids, where they reach out for help is school. And we want to make sure that that support is available to them, but that support is available to families too. So if you as a parent or guardian need to reach out to our school counselors, that grid can be found on the district website, and you can access a school counselor who can provide support, or certainly maybe refer to other agencies for additional resources for you. When it comes to the other related services, that's a variety of methods which we're using. At this point in California, there's conflicting regulations regarding different types of speech therapists, and I know that a lot of times in school we think of a speech therapist as a single entity, but there's actually different licensures and credentialing requirements, so we're working through that. Many of our students, we also know, simply it would be very challenging for them to sit down for half an hour and do an online teletherapy session, much like they would do in a medical model. In a school model, again, related services are to support instruction. So our speech therapists not only have the office hours that they are available, and they are also offering individual activities. Many of them are sending workbooks home, or videos home, or packets to different people's houses. Some of them are also providing collaborative lessons through the Zoom platforms and the Google platforms in order to really reach out to their special day class students and help them with communication. Our instructional assistants have recently been called back to work, again, to be helping students access that online instruction through whatever means necessary that the students will be required. So if your child does have a one-on-one, that person should be reaching out to you within the next few days if they have not already. And again, they should be assisting within the classrooms with the goal of continued learning for our students. We all know that individually, as every single one of us adjusts, there is no one-size-fits-all model, so we know that different service providers are providing different types of service or different levels of service based on what they believe that children can access at this point. If you do have a concern about any of the accessibility to services for your children, please do not hesitate to contact our office at the main district number, extension 4047, and we are happy to reach out to you and try to resolve any concerns you have at the very earliest opportunity, that we can make sure that we are doing right and giving your children what they need. I also want to remind everybody that throughout this time, your child not only still has teachers and related service providers, they also do have a case manager. And that case manager is responsible for shepherding your child through the process to graduation. That's our ultimate goal. And part of that is holding IEPs. The state has waived some timelines for IEPs. Our district is holding them to the best of our ability and the best of parent agreement. For example, annual IEPs where there's no testing required, or a parent requested IEP, again, no testing required. We're definitely wanting to hold those through electronic means, whether that be a telephone conference call or through a Zoom method. We are also, any testing that has been completed as part of a triennial report, we're holding those IEPs too. Unfortunately, because of the shelter-in-place regulations, we cannot do in-person testing at this time, and although some of the publishers are scrambling to sort of modify their assessments to where they can be delivered through a telehealth format, at this point that is not the option. So if testing is required, we are having to wait until school resumes. There is an option for a triennial review where no testing is required, already built into the law, so we're utilizing that where possible in order to ensure that the IEP teams do have an opportunity to meet, do have an opportunity to evaluate the child's progress, and do have an opportunity to adjust services as needed. Again, our goal is to support children and families. We remain committed to that. All of our staff is working very, very hard. We hope you can join us tonight at our Community Advisory Committee meeting, which starts online at 7 o'clock. The Zoom link is on the district website. And in addition, please continue to reach out to us if you need any additional services. We truly are here to help. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Dr. Agili. I just want to confirm a couple of pieces of information, just again, because I think it's important that sometimes in these presentations we just reiterate a couple of things. So my understanding is that IEP meetings may continue as long as, again, the options of parents understanding and have consented to these meetings, that we're doing those through, in essence, Zoom process or even audio process.
Yes.
We can hold those meetings. Some of the meetings might even be an annual review, which we can do, or a 3-year review, as long as there's no need for current assessments or new assessments.
Correct.
The issue of assessments, that's sometimes thought of the individual testing of a student's IEP needs for either an initial assessment, somebody who has never received services before, or somebody who's needing a review of their IEP and there has been additional assessment requested. Because those assessments are following a protocol of in-person assessment, the assessments right now cannot be completed. Even with some ability to communicate on the telehealth process or in person, such as us communicating today, that could invalidate an assessment protocol or end results. So that's one of the concerns that is present with completing assessments for either initial evaluations or for 3-year evaluations. It falls outside of what is normal standard practice.
Right.
Would that be correct?
Yes, and the test results could be considered invalid, which may skew the decisions of an IEP team, which would not be helpful. So at that point, if testing is required, we are allowed to defer until school resumes in person where testing can resume.
Okay. One more area I just want to make sure, again, for our public thinking about this, is that what I heard Dr. Gilley say is that we, of course, know that special education law, if you will, and guidance is provided at the federal level and the state level, and then there's the practice of, again, working to provide free, appropriate public education for each one of our students, what they need, and specifically students with individual education plans, their IEPs. We work to provide those services to help them meet their needed academic goals. And oftentimes there are related services to assist them in meeting those goals. Right now, again, we know that the best instruction for many of our students is that in person, in a classroom, working with them with multiple layers of services. And the realities are that based under shelter in place, school closures, this disallowance of being able to be in person with our students is in conflict with those best designs. And so what our district is doing, as many other districts are, is through our best intentions of working through the technologies we have to communicate with our students, their parents, and really work to provide the supports that we can related to their IEPs and the instruction as best as we can, as practicable, I believe is the words, for each of our students. So by design, we want to provide the best we can. It's, however, there are these limitations that are disallowing us from continuing on-site work with students right now. And as we continue through this process, what we will continue to do is look to our federal government for guidance, the state government for guidance, and again, within California, we receive guidance from the State Board of Education, the California Department of Education, our Contra Costa County Office of Education, and really even our parent advocacy groups, because we all want what's best for our students as we continue through this process. So I just want to make sure, is that what I'm understanding?
You are absolutely understanding it perfectly and summarizing it right on.
So hang in there with us, parents, for sure. And again, Community Advisory Committee is meeting tonight at 7 o'clock on a Zoom. So we'll have that to share some more information with that committee. All right. We wanted to get into the second item at this point and just share a little bit more about potential end of the year events. One of the issues that we've been talking about as a cabinet, if you will, is working through a process for each one of our school sites to have parents work with the school principals for going through a process of coming to the site on given days to actually collect any personal items that still might be on campus. I want to be clear, we do not want every parent just going to the school sites and believing that they can just pick up their items. This is going to be coordinated. It has to be coordinated with the process that each one of our principals is able to have at their locations, ensuring social and physical distance parameters, and working to have, again, a coordinated event where there'll be a pickup of items and potentially a return of items. So that is being worked on by our elementary and secondary divisions, inclusive of our principals, working with, again, the support personnel who will be involved in ensuring that we are able to close the year with regards to personal items being gathered and district items being returned. So that's something where more information will be coming out directly from the school sites with days identified and a process identified for each of our families. Sometime at this point, we're also thinking about promotion and matriculation of students from one school to another. We have also had our open enrollment process ongoing, and there are processes that we go through looking at the enrollment of our current students and any requests for transfers. That process is still going on right now, but we will, over the next few weeks, getting information to parents from our Student Services Department. The idea behind promotions is that we do not see at this time an ability for us to pool students together for physical promotions from, say, 8th grade to the high school level, or leaving elementary to go to the middle school. These schools are working, again, within their own capacities to put some things together, denoting the process of matriculation for those students to their next level, but we don't envision collective events happening right now. Now, I see that as being separate from our graduation process. We know that graduation from high school for each one of our students is really a milestone achievement in their educational careers and in their lives. And so we're being very thoughtful, working with our high school principals and our secondary education, and now extending that out to the city of Concord as well for consideration. While we know at a minimal there will be some levels of virtual participation and virtual programs, because our principals have already started their work about what that looks like for our students, to be able to acknowledge the success of our students over their careers as students within the Mount Diablo Unified School District. We are investigating an idea of holding some level of in-person, albeit it may be in-car types of ceremonies that potentially could be approved by our Contra Costa Public Health Services Department in alignment with the City of Concord, following the guidance that we have about graduations or any larger social gathering. And so we are working almost to develop a potential plan, or a plan that we'd call Plan A, if we can do something that has students participate in a broader network for graduation for each school. We want to be able to do something. If we cannot, based under, again, safety concerns as raised by our public health officials or sheer logistical issues, we will have a minimal, again, of at least some virtual processes where each one of our students will be recognized by their school sites and graduation. It is very difficult for our students to face this realization of really the loss of their last several months within a school setting. From ceremony, from recognition, from participation, and all those moments that really people have thought about for years. And again, as a parent, I understand that. And so we don't want to simply have nothing available for our graduates. We know that there have been some good signs out there and placards made, and people are recognizing them. And we're looking to determine, again, on what broad a scale we are able to hold the events in their honor, so that they can look to their future. So we'll have more information coming from that. It's my understanding that our public health department is working on guidance as well. So again, we will work with them to remain within the guidance. We are working with Mayor McCallion from City of Concord to look at what opportunities we have to hold events, and we'll have some more information, we hope, by beginning of next week. I'll transition now in just having a little bit of thoughts about a potential re-entry plan. I shared it in the Friday letter that both the governor, Governor Newsom, indicated that he had a desire to potentially bring our students back sooner across the state, maybe even in July. Well, what we now know is that we won't be holding on-site instruction through the rest of this school year. We also know that our extended school year program, primarily for students who have special education needs, we are working to extend that out. And so we would ask again, if our parents are desiring participating in that there's the process working with the case managers to make sure that you want to be included in those programs so that we can continue distance learning in the summer for our students with special education needs. We will also be looking to extended summer school to students who may need some credit recovery for them to transition away from the high school level. So again, information will be coming out to the high schools. Information will be coming out via the counselors about what those programs are, in essence, a credit recovery. We have had to quickly rethink where our design had been going for summer school in relation to distance learning, but our intent is to provide those programs. We already have a mid-August start date for the fall. That's what's on the calendar right now. For us to potentially start earlier than that, there'd have to be a number of discussions that would take place with our employee associations. There would have to be a revised calendar approved by the board. We would have to determine where, if in fact, additional funding would come from to reimburse people for their service, and the further implications on our budget for those types of programs. But more importantly, the design about education as we know it is going to entail a number of us working together to make that design a good, positive reality for our students. When we start thinking about what we're doing right now, we've gone from an on-site, in-person level of education that was, yes, using technology, but not focused solely on technology. Then within a matter of heartbeats, we were not allowed to have students work with us on campuses. In-person connections ceased. And for a district of this size to be able to connect with people via distance learning, it has been absolutely amazing to see the number of our students connected with their teachers, participating in both synchronous and asynchronous lessons, and producing work. Quite frankly, it has been a magnitude of success for many of our students. However, we also are very concerned about a number of our students who are not still connected, who may not have a device that assuredly is their device that they won't have to share with a family member or a sibling, and internet access that they can rely on all the time. So we've had some definite concerns about the equitable access of individuals in our distance learning platforms. And that's where we've been, distance learning. When we start thinking about having students return, some of the considerations that we have to have. Well, social and physical distancing for one. We have to keep people safe. We have to then think about, again, the cleanliness and the sanitation of any of our areas where we're having individuals return. We then also have to make sure that logistically the instructional design that we can put together is truly matching the needs of our students. So we have to make sure that our instructional staff have access, capabilities, the right teaching tools, and the ability to connect with our students. We may be really creating something that is even beyond blended learning. Blended learning is really a design of instruction that includes some in-person conversations and some use of technology through an online process. It's blended. Well, even into the future now, we may be talking about mixed level learning. Not necessarily just blended, but several different avenues of access. We hope to be able to bring our students back for in-person instruction. We know that there'll be some measure of distance learning occurring. We anticipate there will be other arenas where we'll start thinking about education in their home environment as a third level. Because again, each one of our students in their own homes may be learning some different things that we need to benefit from and give them credit for. We also need to think about, again, this new world of connecting in technology that is going to either keep us all connected across the world or disconnect more students. So the advancement of technology use is going to be an important critical skill for our students as they advance. And many of our students, because they are digitally natives, they're used to having devices at their fingertips, they're more used to taking on a challenge of figuring something out. That's why I think there's so many successful kids out there with Minecraft. They just got it and started building. I'll toss out something from my own kids' work. They just were able to grow it, and there were no limits. They just were able to grow it. So we have to think about how we include our children in this level of new education. We will be designing opportunities for families to connect, for our educators to connect, our students to connect, our community to connect, because this is going to take the input of all of us to really think about the different parts that will build into our mixed learning for the future. It is really going to be something very unique. The other thing that I'll end on today is issues on our budget. And I don't want to bring, sadness and worry to everyone. However, I think if in fact you're watching any of the news programs, if you're listening to any of the issues surrounding our overall state budget, there have been exorbitant costs due to the COVID-19 that our state has incurred. When the state is now working to develop a budget for next year, those costs will have to be paid. And while we all look to the federal government for some support in this process, the costs are absolutely insurmountable right now. So I worry that as the state is putting together the state budget, the information that schools have been receiving is that not only should we not expect a cost of living allowance going into the next 3 years at this point in time, but that we should expect a potential reduction to the cost of living allowance that we currently have received for this school year. We have to reflect on what happened in 2008, 2009, 2010, and part of what happened is that because of issues at the state, and again, we were in a national recession, our educational budgets took a tremendous hit at that point in time. The hit had to do with not receiving the anticipated COLA, any raises, increases to our funding, and dramatic reductions for over 3 years. So over this last time, when we've now built back up to what we were receiving in 2007, and now we're all facing this new criteria being put into our budgets of 0% COLA for 3 years, a potential reduction to state lottery dollars, a potential reduction to our property taxes, and a potential increase to the cost for state teachers retirement service and public employee retirement service, STRS and PERS. Those costs have been given to the district from the state, passed on to us. So while we're also looking at building a new level of education, we also have to use those state projections to build our district budget and plan for the future. And again, I've said this in the past, we as a district are looking to meet this year's budget demands, and in the process, we have to plan for the next 3 years' budget expectations and what we can afford based under the data provided by the state. In a couple of weeks, or even sooner than that, we'll have more clarity from the governor about his May revised budget. It's the process that they go through where the legislators will get a revised budget from the governor. They will continue to do their work. We do anticipate they'll pass a budget for next year, a fiscal budget for the state, but we also worry that that won't be the final budget that will actually be implemented for the 2020-2021 school year. So I know that some folks have really kind of asked us to move forward with raises, I'll say that. And again, out of sense of transparency, our board is getting critical information daily at every one of our board meetings about the structure of our budget as a district. So I invite you to join us on that May 11th, 2020 next regular board meeting. And I thank you so much for, again, everything that you do as parents, as employees, as our administrators, our support staff, for our students collectively. It is Teacher Appreciation Week, and so to all of you, we thank you for what you're doing for your children, other children in your environment. It's a challenge, ladies and gentlemen, but we appreciate each of you, and especially our children. Dr. Gilly, anything else to add?
I would echo the sentiment. May you celebrate Teacher Appreciation Week as you're trying to do the job. Thank you. We definitely have a different meaning of Teacher Appreciation Week this year. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you later.